gem from MM. Mickey about to drop a gem. 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 Here comes a gem. Here comes a gem. Here comes a gem from MM. Mickey about to drop a gem. Mickey about to drop a gem. Mickey about to drop a gem. Okay, now listen up.
What's up, guys? It's Mickey, and welcome back to another episode of Blank Canvas. How is my BK fam feeling? I hope you guys are doing amazing, swell, excellent. If not, hold on, breathe. It will get better. Okay? For the ones that are in a deep sadness, if you took the time and you could press the button to listen to me, I want to let you know that I don't literally see you, but I am grateful for you choosing to spend your energy and your time with little old me. And I want you to know that I'm rooting for you and that I hope today gets better for you, right? Even if you're not in a deep, deep sadness, if it's just like a blah day, I hope that whatever we end up talking about today can make you feel a little bit better, or maybe some personal stories I share can make you laugh. Or like I always say, y'all can laugh at my pain so you don't have to laugh at yours, okay? Because I'm sure yours personally isn't as funny. So let's get into this week's episode. Y'all ready? Before we get into this week's episode, I do want to say that I hope that you guys thoroughly enjoyed last week's episode. For anybody to, and then my purpose of that was just to share in real time what the spiritual warfare felt like to me. And then the other purpose, I didn't want you guys to feel condemned. I wanted you guys to feel seen. I wanted you guys to feel heard and understood. And hopefully it was just relatable, to know that we're all out here struggling. We're all out here trying to figure it out. And if it was as easy as black and white, like even though we know, probably save yourself to marriage, don't be doing this to another human. Don't be doing that. Treat them better. Treat yourself with more respect. Treat others with more respect. Even though we know these things, we are humans and we are complicated. And not only do we have a lot of gray areas, but so does life. So remember to be easy on yourself. And it's okay if you fall. Just get back up. Okay? And let's thank God for the ability that when we do fall, or when we do fall short, right? And when we do sin, the price we don't have to pay for that is no longer death. Amen, amen, amen to that. And if you're new to this journey, you may not feel the impact of that simple statement, right? But as you keep living, as the old folks would say, as you keep living, sometimes just God did, or won't he do it, or like very simple catchphrases like that, they hit different, okay? Because once you know him, once you've experienced him, once you live this life with him, it's crazy. Even if you've lived life without him, once you do get to him and you realize the difference in living it without him versus living it with him, wow, your eyes are open. And it's just a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. And like I always say, I highly encourage everybody to know the Lord for yourself. Read the Bible for yourself. Develop a personal, intimate relationship with the Lord for yourself. Not for anyone else, not for this world, not to gain materialistic things, but because you are genuinely interested in the one who created you. Because you're genuinely interested in the one who created someone else you may love. Because you're genuinely interested in the one who created it all. This world, us, all of the above. Oh, real quick before I read the scripture. Did you guys hear how scientists discovered that human bodies are made up of different minerals that come from the earth? Yeah, congratulations. You're catching up to the Bible. I absolutely love when science backs up what God has already explained. I love it. Because for some people, they need that scientific evidence. And so I love that God is so kind to show us in more than one way that he is not a liar. He is the truth and he is the way. So shout out to God. Love him. All right, let's get into this week's episode. I'm ready. So I guess what I want to talk about is, I guess a couple of different things. One is long suffering, and you'll see how that all connects in a second. But let me give you the basis of the story, and then we'll get into it, okay? So, backdrop. we're going to be talking about Noah and the flood. And most people know, but if you don't know, Noah was the one who built the gigantic ark. All the animals, 2 by 2 by 2, went on there. And if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, I think just his wife, his sons, and their wives. I think that was it. Now, if I'm wrong, y'all correct me. And again, always do your own research outside of this, to fact check. But I think it was just them on the boat. The flood comes, destroys everything, all of humanity. Okay? Let's not sweep that under the rug. Every single person died except for the people on the boat. Yeah. Aren't we so grateful that he got Jesus? Yeah, that he sent Jesus to die for our sins so he didn't have to come through and flood this earth again. Because I feel like right now, this would be a good time for a flood. This would be a perfect time for another generation of Noah. Now listen, if I didn't know Noah, I wouldn't be on the boat, so I'd be dying too. I know that sounds crazy. I'd be dying too, but I just feel like we as a people, and I'm including myself, we have gotten so arrogant and so just, so many things all of us have become because we have the luxury of serving and loving God, and we have the luxury of not dying every single time we mess up. As I've explained before, we also have his grace and mercy that's fresh and new each day that we should not take for granted. Also, the simple fact of, if you're listening to me in America, God is kind of implemented in so many ways. In God we trust. It's on the money. It's if you're in the South, you don't go nowhere without seeing God in some form or hearing some words from the Bible, and you know what I mean? It's crazy. But because we have such a high level of access to him, because we can love God out loud the way we do, we take that for granted. When there are other people in this world to this day that are still being persecuted for trying to have their faith in the Lord, that are still being persecuted for even trying to spread the gospel, which is what we're called to do. There are still people dying like they did in the Bible. But I think sometimes over here in America, we can take that for granted. Our wonderful ability and gift to love him out loud. For me to get on a podcast and share it with the world and be like, I love God because of this, this, and this. Or I'm mad at God because of this, this, and this. Right? My ability to go talk to a neighbor and be like, or a stranger, and share testimonies, share his word. We take that for granted. There are still people being persecuted, jailed, killed, everything under the sun for just trying to love Jesus Christ out loud. They have to hide their love. They have to hide their faith. But yet they still do it. So I feel like they have a whole nother level of reverence, right? Because the price that they pay to love him, the price that they pay to follow him is higher. The cost is higher. It's easy for so many of us over here in America to be like, of course I love God, and still continuously sin and can still continuously do things that separate us from him. Of course I love God, but you know what I mean? But we're so much further away from him than we think. It's so easy for us because we do have the luxury to love him out loud and not be killed for it, not be jailed for it. And majority of the country may agree with you. Now, we may not agree on how to get there and every single interpretation of the Bible. I mean, this is a country that used the Bible to justify slavery, so we won't go there, and so many other things. However, it is a luxury and a privilege to be able to love this man out loud. And so in moments where I may pause and be like, am I doing too much? Am I talking about him too much? It hurts my heart a little bit just to even say that, because it's like, how dare I question how much I speak on him, how much I love him, how much I share his word, when he doesn't ever question loving me, when he doesn't ever question blessing me, when he doesn't ever question bringing me peace, right? When he doesn't ever question that I am his daughter, when he doesn't ever question loving me out loud, boldly, right? Because sometimes we take for granted for how much he loves us. He loves us every day. Does he correct us? Sure. But is it condemning and to make you feel like you are the worst thing that ever happened? No. He just wants us to get better. He wants us to do better. He knows we will have our struggles. He knows we will fall. Why do you think he gave us grace and mercy? But his love, and I always say that love is not enough, but never confuse, when I say that, I'm talking about human beings. God's love is sufficient. God's love is more than enough, because his love is nothing compared to the love that we give to each other. But it is a kind of love that we should strive for to do and to have. Right? Okay, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. Let's get back to Noah. So during this time, Noah is, he was told at this point to go ahead and build the ark. Let me skip. I'm going to skip around a little bit. What verse is this? This is chapter 7 in Genesis, and this is specifically talking about the flood. You know, they always be like, for 40 days and for 40 nights, it rained. But what most people don't break down, whether it's being, and when most people don't reference this, when it comes to Noah, is that, 40 days and 40 nights. That was just rain alone. The 40 days and 40 nights was rain alone. Okay? But let's go deeper into the timeline, shall we? If we go to, I'll just read the last little bit. This is chapter 7, and I'm going to skip all the way down to verse 21, and it says, all the living things on earth died, birds, domestic animals, wild animals, all kinds of small animals, and all the people. Everything died that breathed and lived on dry land. All right? And if you skip down to verse 24, it says, and the water covered the earth for 150 days. Pause right there for a second. Some of you are going to have the question of, well, if all the animals died, how did we get animals back? Noah was told to take a male and a female of each kind of animal, and they all were on the boat too. So when all this was over, we were able to repopulate the earth, not only with humans, because they were the humans still left on the boat, but also with animals, for some people that have that question. All right, now let's go down to, let's pick it back up. I said, and the water covered the earth for 150 days. Let's just stop right there. Let's picture this. I want you guys to picture this out with me, right? 40 days. Let's back it up even more. Put yourself on a boat. Put yourself on a boat. An ark at that. A large boat to fit all these animals, to bring the ones for sacrifice, to bring the ones for food, and so forth and so on. He followed the instructions. You can go back and read it to find out the detailed instructions that God gave him. But let's just put yourself on a boat. If you have the ability to do this, if you're listening to me right now and you're not driving, you're not busy or whatever, I would love for you guys to close your eyes and try to picture this. But if you can't close your eyes, still picture this, okay? Let's walk through this timeline and let's really dive into the significance of all of this. You're on a boat, and we'll do it Noah style. Say you're married. Say you're not. Actually, that's not even important. You're on a boat. I was going to take you guys exactly like it, but I don't need to take it exactly like Noah's circumstance in order for you guys to get the point. You're on a boat. All right. You're shut in. That was shut in. Imagine like an escape room, or you know how like we see on the movies where the doors go or it slams shut and you can't get out? Yeah, you are shut in. There was nothing getting in and there was nothing getting out after they entered that boat. All right. Think if you are a fan of The Walking Dead, y'all remember the beginning season when the CDC, they went in and he said, all right, I'm going to lift this up. But once it comes down, that's it. Think of that moment. So you're shut into this boat. Y'all still with me? Eyes closed if you can. You're on this boat and you hear this constant rain. And this ain't like drizzle, drizzle. No, baby. This is thunder. This is storms. It has to be like devastating rain, because this is the rain that is about to flood the entire earth. So let's really get into it. Let's picture it. You hear this devastating thunderous storm Buku rain, 40 days, 40 nights. That's over a month. You don't hear no sun. You don't hear nothing. No birds chirping, no nothing. You probably hear them dying. You probably hear screams of people. I don't know if the rain was so loud that it drowned out the sounds of all the people screaming their final moments, or maybe being caught off guard, because everybody was dying. So imagine if they did hear people, like, you're trapped in this boat. You're in this storm, right? And you can hear everybody else dying. It's like, yay, I'm safe, but at the same time, think of the trauma. Think of the trauma. Even after this boat opens back up, I will not forget what it sounded like when the animals were dying. I will not forget what it sounded like when the people were drowning. Unless the rain, which in my Bible it's not specific enough to tell me, unless the rain was so loud that it drowned out their screams and it drowned out their sorrows. But we don't know, or at least I don't. All right, so then let's go back to the water. This 40 days and 40 nights of straight rain. Then it stops, right? Everything's dead. But they still in the boat, people. Everybody be preaching it like it's only 40 days and 40 nights. Noah was still in the boat. Him and his family were still in the boat. It says, and the water covered the earth for 150 days. So God wiped out everybody in 40 days and 40 nights of rain, right? But then it stayed there for 150 days. Like, he was so sick of us. I know a lot of us weren't born at that time, but humanity as a whole, he was so sick of us. He was so sick of us taking for granted everything that a lot of us to this day still do and take for granted. A lot of things that they were struggling with and doing, we still struggle with and we take for granted to this day. We just didn't have the gift of Jesus. I mean, they didn't have the gift of Jesus like we do. We have it. We have the gift of Jesus, and he's already died and rose again, and he sacrificed himself with his blood and his whole body and everything else. I would break all that down, but no time, okay? In order for us to not die. He was the ultimate sacrifice. Back in the day in the Old Testament and stuff, they used to sacrifice the animals. Noah had animals on the boat specifically, not just to eat, but for the ones that were supposed to be for sacrifice. That's what they used to do back in the day. And Jesus came and he was the ultimate sacrifice. So we don't have to continuously sacrifice animals and stuff anymore. Y'all getting the point? Let's go down. Oh, but I love this. I love this. This is chapter 8, verse 1. And you know, 8 means new beginning. And verse 1 says, but God remembered Noah and all the animals in the boat. That's a word right there. But God remembered. But God remembered. For those of you who feel like God has forgotten you, let this be a word alone. If you don't listen to anything else, let that be a word alone. But God remembered. And you know what that means? Just like he didn't forget Noah and the animals and his family on the boat, he didn't forget you. He didn't forget your family. He didn't forget your children. He didn't forget any of your dreams and hopes. He didn't forget. God remembers. He still remembers you. I hope that blesses somebody. He did not forget about you. He still remembers. Let's go on down. Skip down. All right, blah, blah, blah. So finally, the water starts to recede after 150 days. This is exactly 5 months from the time that the flood began. All right. And then after the water starts to recede, God makes the boat rest on a mountain. They're at the peak of a mountain, right? But even then, there's still another 40 days before Noah even opened the window. Like, this isn't 40 days and 40 nights. We're now 5 months in. And at this point, there was another 40 days that Noah had to wait before he could even open the window. Right? Let's picture this. God has flooded the entire earth to wipe out everything and everyone that wasn't on that boat. Skip on down. It talks about how 7 days later he released the dove, you know. He had to release the different birds to try to see Was it safe enough to go on down? I won't read all that. I'll give you guys time to read that. Let's skip all the way down. This is still chapter 8, verse 13. I want you to know that the flood happened when Noah was 600. Like, he was 600 years old. We used to live a lot longer back in the day. That's a whole side subject too. And now, verse 13. Finally, when Noah was 601 years old, 10 and a half months after the flood began, Noah lifted the cover to look. The water was drying up. Pause. He's now 601 years old. We are now 10 and a half months after the flood began. Next, we're picking back up. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. 2 more months. So if we had 10 months before the pause, and then 2 more months after that, 10, 11, 12 people, a year. The man was 600. He turned 601 a year. Can we please stop teaching Noah and the flood like 40 days and 40 nights? That's the basic. That was just the rain. That was the rain, folks. It was nothing of what they had to endure on the boat. Now, all right, y'all can open your eyes now. Picture all of that. You're on a boat, maybe a few people, maybe alone, a couple of animals. You hear the rain for 40 days and 40 nights, but you have a year of endurance before you can even step out of that same boat. A year. A year. A year. And do you know what God spoke to me when I was reading that? He said a lot of times you'll come to me and you'll be like, this trial and tribulation, Lord, has been going on for so long. But look at Noah. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. And I'm in my head, I'm visualizing like, okay, like, let's just put this for me. Trials and tribulation, 40 days, 40 nights. What if I had a straight month of straight rain, of straight attacks? A month, over a month, because 40 days, over a month. What if I had 40 days of straight attacks, right? And they're brutal. I'm going to say they're brutal because this is a powerful enough rain to flood the earth, right? And then the attacks finally stop. But is there not residue that has to be taken care of after the attacks? Are there not things that I need healing from? Are there not things that I still need to work on? Are there not after effects of being confined in this boat and having multiple attacks after attacks after attacks? And sometimes we get mad at God for the isolation. We get mad at God for him sealing us in, for keeping us covered from things. But if Noah and his wife and their sons and their wives were outside, they'd be dead. Sometimes you need to thank God for keeping you inside. Sometimes you need to thank God for saying no to you. Sometimes you need to thank God for not allowing you to be anywhere all the time with everybody, because that is your protection. That is your protection. He is saving you. He is sparing you. And sometimes you're fighting God on the thing that he is trying to keep you alive for. You know what I mean? I think one of the biggest lessons and takeaways that I learned from reading Noah, and once I really went through the timeline, is that was a whole entire process. That went over in 40 days and 40 nights. And sometimes when we're fighting for different relationships, when we're fighting for our own sanity, when we're fighting for just ourselves to make it to the next day, baby, sometimes you got to go past 40 days and 40 nights. Sometimes it may take a year or 2 or 3. But what did he say in chapter 8, verse 1? But God remembered. But God remembered. But God remembered. So this is what I want my BK fam to remember. When you're going through your trials and tribulations and they feel long and you have to keep enduring. I think I used to tell you guys Galatians 6:9. Don't grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap a harvest when it's time. You don't know how long you're going to have to endure, and it can be hard and it can be frustrating, especially when you're like, their suffering season is over. Why is mine still going? Don't compare. Don't compare. Because some people hide theirs better than others. It may not seem like they're suffering, but they may be dealing with stuff. Even if they're blessed with material things, it does not mean that they're not suffering on the inside. Inside turmoil, to me, is some of the worst turmoil that you can have. I probably have real life, everyday outside problems. Like, oh, this needs to be fixed. Or, oh, I need to do this. Or, something like that. But when you're struggling on the inside, when the enemy is attacking your mind, your heart, and your spirit, your soul, all these things, that's a next level attack. And then if you have those attacks happening at the same time while you still have real life happening, and when is that never not a thing? When have any of us gone through spiritual warfare and life still ain't lifing? You think life cares? It doesn't. You think the enemy cares? He don't. The only time he gives up attacking you, and the only time he gives up attacking people around you, is when he feel like, I don't have to. They're already on my side. And even if they're not fully on my side, I know for a fact they won't do God's will. I know for a fact they won't seek him. I know for a fact they won't seek clarity on even the words that I'm saying. Because listen, God will give us a word and the enemy will come in and twist one little thing, one little sentence. He may put a comma where God put a period. He may put a question mark where God put a period. Right? And it can literally change the trajectory of the way we view a situation, the way we view the word that God gave us. He placed doubt, and when doubt gets there, oh no, we've left the door open for the enemy to tap into it. And if you let him get a foot, a toe, a pinky in, you might as well bust it wide open. Okay? Because he's turned, he's excited, and he's ready to get into it. He's ready to get into our spirits. He's ready to get into our mind. He's ready to try to stop us from seeing God the way we should see God, from loving other people the way we should love other people, from giving grace to other people, right? Because the enemy will have you thinking, why would I give grace? Why would I give forgiveness? Why would I do these things when these people hurt me? For yourself. Like, even I hope you don't want to do it for them. Like, do it for yourself. It frees you. And I shouldn't say I hope that you don't want to, but it's better when you want to do it for you. Because if you do it for somebody else, the next time they hurt you, you're going to be like, never again. And it won't be sincere. You're going to be like, I only did it because, you know what I mean? Like, it needs to be really your choice, your will. Does that make sense? And I feel like I really want to leave you guys with just that. With just that. Like, that sometimes the suffering is longer than we think. And just because the rain has stopped does not mean the actual trial, the actual test is over. There's a lot of things that have to take place after the rain has been happening in your life. Remember, the water covered the earth for 150 days after that rain. There's still so much time that still possibly has to pass. And there are still so many things that you have to do. But don't let the enemy trick you if that, oh, this suffering will never end. Because he does. It does. And God makes sure of that. And why does he do it? Besides the number one reason that he loves us? Because he didn't forget you, baby. He didn't forget you. God remembered. But God remembered. But God remembered. But God remembered. Okay? So that's what I want to leave you guys with. I hope you guys take something away from that. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day to listen to little old me. I hope I was helpful in some form. Even if you don't take nothing away from this episode, right? But God remembered. I could have just said that one line and left y'all with that. Take that. But God remembered. He did not forget you. He has not given up on you. He has not turned his back on you. He loves you. You are his child. You are important to him. You are worthy of his love. Some people don't believe that. Listen to me. I don't care how much you have sinned. I don't care how many times you have fallen. Get back up. And even in the midst of you making the mistake, he does not stop loving you. Is he disappointed? Does he want better for us? Of course. But did his love change for you? No. Does he still love you? Yes. And because he loves you, he remembers you. So if y'all don't take away nothing, take away the end. He loves you and he remembers you. And this is a side note for Mickey. You got this. Even if you can't see the light yet or see the end of the tunnel, keep taking a step day by day. And before you know it, you'll be out that tunnel. Be prepared for another one, but at least you'll be out of that one. I love you guys. I can't wait to see what we talk about next time. Remember that he remembers you and that he loves you. And I love you guys too. And I can't wait to see what we talk about next time. All right, guys. Bye.
Blank canvas, blank canvas, blank canvas, blank canvas. Don't know what the topic is, but we gon' talk about something on the mental, on the mind, ran heavy. Society with the levies, kinda deadly. Silent killer, hard to daddy. Most killers had no daddy. Sadly, that's just what it be in my community. We got no unity. Dark skin wanna ruin me. I'm speaking fluently. So just listen. Blank canvas, blank canvas, blank canvas.